Cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Dash, the digital cash, all have great potential. But what is it going to take for mass acceptance and usage of them? Well, in this interview, we get a chance to explore that with a person who knows what's going on. His name is Brad Zastrow, and he joined me from his offices there in Sydney, Australia, to talk about how it's being used and some creative ways that they are using tools and techniques to get more mass acceptance. Watch this and think about how you can use it, how you would be able to use it with your product and service, whatever is being done. As I talked with Brad Zastrow, he is the business development head at Dash Core, and look at cryptocurrencies, their mass acceptance and use. Cryptocurrencies is changing rapidly. It is going up and down, quite volatile, and we know it's got a lot of changes, but we also know it's got a lot of promise for the future. And sometimes people are wondering about, okay, are we going to be able to use this in the real world? Is it just for something we hang on to, and as often we say, hold on for dear life, the hodl thing? Are we going to do that? Or is there a way we can use it in the real world? Well, there's several currencies that are out there that I've been watching and that many people really like and do well. One that's doing particularly well is called Dash. It's the digital cash, and it gives the ability to do a lot of real-world applications. And to find out about how these are working, we have a person joining us that's going to be able to help us a lot with that. His name is Brad Zastrow, and he's joining us from his offices and home out there in Sydney, Australia. Brad, thanks for being with us today.
No, thank you very much, mate. I appreciate being here as well.
Well, now you do a lot of work there with the Dash core development. I mean, you're right there with the really good folks that are putting all this good stuff together for us. But I want to get from your perspective where you see cryptocurrencies going kind of in general. I know you're working with Dash, but kind of in general, where you see it going and the practical use of that for the average person who wants to buy a cup of coffee, or they need to buy a shirt, or they need to buy a bicycle or something like that. How do you see that playing out today, and what do you see for the future?
No, absolutely. With Dash, I think, it starts first kind of, who we are and what we're trying to be. There's a lot of different cryptocurrency coins, out there in the market space, all with different use cases, et cetera. And Dash is real simple. We're a payment coin. We're a payment network. And we focus on two things, being really quick and really cheap. So with Dash, we're able to confirm at near Visa-like transaction speeds, so about 1 second confirmation time. And the cost of that transaction, regardless of the balance, is around, at this point, 2.5, a little under 3 US cents. And again, whether that's $1 million or $1. Where this leads us to, yeah, it sets us apart, I think, really, with a lot of other coins out there, Bitcoin being obviously the most famous.
Yeah, and particularly this last year, we know that we had fees that were literally sometimes in the hundreds of dollars for a transaction. It was just ridiculous, but not with Dash.
That is correct. Absolutely. And that's, again, where it really sets us up, for being kind of, I guess, really enabling that point of sale commerce, whether that's, online or whether that's actually in person waiting for your coffee. And so, in that sense, I guess the product itself, is structured in a way that we're going to, again, really attack that kind of payment space, because the way we kind of look at the payment world today is that, in short, payments are too long, or payments are hard today. And the reason why they're hard is because they take too long and cost too much. And while there might be certain payment types that we don't feel we're a good solution for, checks might be a perfect example for a variety of reasons. There's very much, a reason, we think, for Dash as far as a solution in some of these other payment types.
Yeah, I think so. We see a lot. Well, I want to ask you this. We see adoption is going to take place in some areas, but when we're in a country like Australia, where you are, or in the United States, Europe, there's not as much of an impulse to it. We can use our Visa card or MasterCard, American Express, whatever. But there's some other cases where it might be more effective. I know you've had some comments and some thoughts on that. What are your thoughts on where you see the acceptance of crypto being more likely to occur more rapidly?
No, it's an interesting kind of viewpoint when you start peeling back the onion, because I think Where we're at as far as mass adoption today, volatility of crypto prices is very much a disincentive for people to spend. But that really comes, I think, from the luxury of viewing the world in a wealthy country or Western country kind of viewpoint. If you change that paradigm and put yourself in the position of, say, someone that's living in Venezuela or Zimbabwe or some of these other markets where in actuality the national fiat is more volatile than the crypto due to inflation, corruption, etc., then actually crypto becomes the safer way to store your money, the safer way to spend your money, and where we're actually starting to see really the seeds of kind of those early days, or what I hope to be those early days of a larger, more mass adoption. Venezuela in particular is a market that's very much exploded for us really over the last kind of 6 months. To put it into perspective, it's only been in really 2018 that Venezuela now is number 2 as far as websites visiting dash.org. Whereas last year, they might have been in that kind of top 10 bracket, but again, it's that rapid growth or rapid move into the number 2 spot that's been quite amazing. And we've seen from the way Dash is structured, having a treasury model to help fund certain community-led projects on the ground. We're seeing that really, again, from that merchant level, more complex merchants down to, very simply that, fruit drink stand on the side of the road, because at its simplistic level, you only need a mobile phone to really enable that type of banking with
Very
Dash.
nice.
So it's been great to really see that, and what we'll be focused on is, I think, 3 key pillars for any ecosystem in that sense. You need to be able to acquire Dash, you need to be able to store Dash, and you need to be able to spend Dash. So while it is somewhat a chicken and the egg approach, merchants don't want to enable it until people want to spend it. People don't want to spend it until there's merchants that can accept it. By approaching kind of all 3 pillars, if you will, we can really start building out that ecosystem and driving toward more adoption to where people leave the ecosystem and they're keeping their Dash within that kind of singular kind of viewpoint.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think Dash has done that very well from a business point of view. For those of you watching this, you want to look into it. Go over to dash.org and you can see their model. You can get involved and see what's available there. But I think you do a lot in that you put in seed money. You say, okay, here's a project, and people compete to have the projects, and then you help it get going to really get beyond that chicken and egg concept. As a matter of fact, one of the things you're doing, I'm not going to let you get away without telling us a little bit about this thing you've got going on called rewards.com, which I took a look at. I thought, whoa, this looks pretty nice. I went over to the website. Tell us a little bit about what it is and then the benefits that people have from using that.
Yeah, this is a new partnership that we've announced in the past few weeks. One that I'm quite excited about as well. Rewards.com is today is a cashback platform for consumers. Primarily U.S. consumers, but they do also enable international signups as well. But the basic principle, I think, is one that most consumers are used to, certainly those in that have credit cards, which is, earning a small portion of cash back when one shops, and it would vary by merchant, 1 to, maybe up to even as high as 5%, depending on that merchant. And rewards.com is that platform where they've got relationships with 7,000 merchants, highly applicable and relevant across the spectrum of the consumer base. So this is everything from your, Nike.com to your Macy's to kind of everything in between, of your everyday spend to your luxury. And I guess the intent really in kind of working together is really moving and giving people an option to participate within the cryptocurrency industry in a very safe way that doesn't require perhaps some of the more difficult sign-up processes that exist now today. So what do I mean by that? Currently, when you sign up for rewards.com, again, you do your shopping through that platform and you collect US dollars back. Very simple. Now what you can do is within your account sign-up screen, instead of a bank account or a PayPal account for USD fiat, you can put in your Dash wallet address and earn Dash back. So the real game changer here is that, as far as I know, one of the first times, you don't need to mine Dash. You don't need to actually buy Dash, but through your everyday kind of shopping behavior, you can actually earn Dash. And you can earn that and then actually start spending that. And that's where then that comes into the later phases of our relationship, where we will then be enabling that Dash to be able to be spent with, again, those 7,000 plus merchants on the rewards.com platform. So where this becomes further exciting is ends up really representing a closed loop of a Dash ecosystem, because within this loop now you have that ability to acquire Dash, in this case through your shopping behavior. You have that ability then to spend Dash, as we said, that phase 2 with the merchants. And then, of course, you have that ability to store your Dash within that platform as well. So you don't actually need to leave that ecosystem to kind of fulfill every prong of it, though people will continue to fund that clearly outside, because they'll be spending more than they're earning. You're not going to earn in excess of 100% back. Of course, the joking aside, it provides a very unique way to try to move that needle into a more mainstream space, and with really a tool, a behavior, and a platform that people are already used to.
Yeah, that makes sense. And let me ask you this, and it would seem like if I go out and I buy X number of dollars of merchandise from the various vendors, there's a lot of them over there, and I put all those into a Dash wallet that might be on there, I would imagine I could also transfer that over to my regular Dash wallet that I might have on my smartphone. Is that right?
100%. Absolutely right. So you're right. You absolutely don't need to, you're not forced, I guess, to kind of keep it anywhere. It's your Dash. So in that sense, it's freedom of money, and it's freedom of your money.
That would be real nice. And of course, we do not know what's going to happen. We're not financial advisors or planners, and Dash could go up or down. But in the case that it might go up, then here I might have, say, 100 Dash that would be on there that I'd earned through buying a lot of different merchandise. And if the price of Dash goes up, hey, there's another benefit right there. Of course, there's the risk that if it goes down, we could have that trouble too. But at least we know there's an opportunity. And I think that's a brilliant concept that you've put together on there.
100%. And again, it's, thank you for that, because I think, again, it's that, people today may not feel, again, that comfort to say, well, I'm going to buy $100 worth of XYZ or $100 worth of Dash. But yeah, that ability to earn that through their everyday behavior, I think, gives people that incentive to dip the toe in and experiment a little bit.
Yep, sounds good. Well, as we conclude here, and I wish we could keep going for like 3 or 4 hours. This would be great. You got so much good information, Brad. But I'm going to ask you to reach under the desk there and get that crystal ball of yours. Make sure the batteries are fired up really well. I want you to rub that thing really well and look at it and tell us where you see cryptocurrencies going really long term. I mean, really long term, like 6 months, a year. That's long term with crypto, as you know.
In this space, right? Exactly.
Yeah. What do you see happening for not only Dash, but also for crypto in general?
It is $1 billion question, right? I think what we're going to see in 2018 and 2019, just speaking more my own personal viewpoint at an industry level, I think we will see regulation really come to a forefront. See that being really becoming a larger focus of conversation, particularly in certain jurisdictions. Japan's probably one of the, probably maybe arguably in some ways the oldest or most mature with respect to how they deal with some of those regulations.
Oh, yeah, it's currency.
We're seeing
there. You can use Bitcoin in stores regularly.
100%. And the JFSA and how they manage, around the quote unquote whitelist, as far as, cryptocurrencies within that market, what Mexico's doing, what Canada's doing in particular, and even things like what Australia's doing, which granted a smaller market, I think has taken some very pragmatic, interesting approaches to how crypto is being viewed in this space. So I see that really being kind of one of the first cabs off the rank, so to speak, and probably one of the major focuses in that near term. And I see that being also good for the industry as well. I think we as industry players need a seat at the table to help educate some of the lawmakers that are making these decisions. There's still people out there that view Bitcoin as anonymous, which is very much not true. So we don't want those misperceptions making their way into regulations, et cetera. So yeah, how do we have a seat at that table? How do we participate in those conversations? I think those are questions, that we're looking to answer in that kind of near term.
Yeah, well, it sounds exciting. A lot of good things ahead for the future, and we'll leave it there. But Brad Zastrow, from joining us there in Sydney, Australia, thank you very much for being with us today, sir.
Thank you very much for the invitation, Terry. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You bet. And for those of you watching this, think about what you just saw. This is a platform that you want to look into. I highly recommend that you go over to dash.org. Take a look at what they've got. They've got something. If it's right for you, great. We're not making any financial recommendations here, but what we are saying is we're making educational recommendations. Get to know this platform. Get to know what they're doing. Study it. If it's right for you and it sounds good from you and other advisors you'll talk to, then you might want to get involved with that. We're looking forward to hearing from you. Please leave a comment below. I'm Terry Brock with terrybrock.com. And for Business Journals, thank you for joining us today.